Hi, I'm Judith Leblein. Welcome to Conversations. Are you thinking about what you're passionate for in this life? And do you wish that maybe you can follow that dream, follow that passion? Are you not content with just living day to day and feel like perhaps your life has become a bit mundane? If you want to explore that further, this is the place to do it right here on Conversations. With me is Karyn Greenstreet, her company, Passion for Business. Welcome, Karyn.
Thank you.
Boy, I have heard this mantra over and over again, and predominantly from people in my age category who are starting to say, okay, I've worked hard, I've done the things that paid the bills, I got the kids to college, now I want some me time and I want to do what really makes my heart pound.
Right.
Do you hear that a lot?
I hear that all the time. Do you remember the movie, What If This Is As Good As It Gets?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and people say, this can't be all there is. I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not feeling that my purpose on earth has been fulfilled.
And also there seems to be a more willingness in today's culture to talk about being fulfilled.
Yes.
You know, I've had conversations with my mother, who's now 80, and she said to me, you know, it's so hard for you girls, she said. When I was coming up, I had two choices, you know. One was to get married, and the second was to have a family.
Right.
You know, and then if you happened to do work that was important to you, all the better.
Right.
But she said, you have so many choices. And she's right. It is a time of so many choices, yet a lot of dissatisfied people that don't feel fulfilled.
I think a lot of it is people want to make choices, but they want to make choices that they feel are in alignment with who they are. And by sort of discovering what your passion and your purpose is in life, you can then make decisions that lead you more towards that. So yes, there's more options, but there's also almost an easier way of making decisions.
Now, your company, Passion for Business, is a company that coaches people through these types of decisions?
Yeah, very specifically, I work with people who are looking to become self-employed or thinking about starting a business, if that's their passion or their purpose. That's not necessarily, sometimes your passion, your purpose could be not your work, it could be something outside of your work. But for me, the clients that I work with are the people who want to start a business around the thing that they really love.
So what's your passion?
My passion is helping people start businesses, oddly enough, and really helping people to create the lifestyle and the dream that they've always wanted. So they just know there's something more, and they know they have more potential inside of them, and I help them to bring that out.
You know, sometimes it's just someone helping you sort it out that makes the difference. I've taken a look back at my career, and I can remember coming out of college and hearing someone say that women of my generation were going to have multiple careers.
Yes.
And that we should not think purely of, you know, one job, the gold watch at the end of the 50 years. And boy, how right they were, because we are not in that society anymore. You know, my parents grew up with the concept of you go to work for a good company, you buy some stock, you work hard, you get a gold watch, and everything is nice. Right. So we have that happening now. And do you think that that is one of the drivers of this searching for something more passionate?
I think it is. People, even people who've been working in the same career for 20 years, they get burnt out of that. They're done with it. It's something that's no longer challenging. They truly can do it with one hand tied behind their back, and they want that next level of growth for themselves, whether it's personal growth, spiritual growth, skills, whatever it is, they want to go to that next level. And I mean, myself personally, since 1981, I've owned 5 different businesses in completely different areas. I mean, I was a professional photographer, I owned a recording studio, I did all these different kinds of things, trying to find the thing that was right for me. And then when I looked back, I realized there actually was a pattern to all of it.
You know, it's so interesting that you say that, because I have sat there and I wrote down everything that I've pursued, and then I thought about my dreams as a kid. And I remember I couldn't decide between journalism, being a teacher, being a fireman like my father. And you know, as I look back over my life, I did every one of those things, including attending the Newark Fire Academy and passing that physical test.
Really?
So, you know, I think if you open your heart and you listen to your spirit, that, you know, life will take you in the direction you need to go.
I think that's really the key. A lot of people say, well, how do I do this? And you're exactly right. Listen to your emotions. Do you feel joy? Do you feel happiness? Do you feel satisfaction? At the end of the day, do you feel like you've had a good day? And I don't mean just a good day like, your boss didn't yell at you a good day, but do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like you've given everything that you had? And if you look inside and listen to yourself, you'll come up with answers that tell you, well, what are the things that allow me to feel that, and what are the things that don't? And of course, the problem is what if most of the things you do don't let you feel that way? Then what do you do?
But another question, putting on my practical cap now, take aside the dreamer for a while and let's get practical. Sometimes your passion can't help you make a living. I mean, you have to keep a roof over your head. Not everybody can, run off to New York and pursue their Broadway career.
Exactly.
And from watching American Idol, a lot of people should just be quiet and stop singing. But, not everybody can do it. How do you help somebody follow their passion and not go to the poorhouse?
Right. Well, as an example, one of my clients came to me, and I was doing what I would call more life coaching with her, which is we talked about owning a business as a possibility, but what were some other things to do? And we talked about her passion, and what she was really passionate about was gardening. And I said, I hear you're passionate about gardening, but I don't really get the feeling you want to open a landscape design business. She says, no, I don't. I said, so what is it you do now? And at the time she was a teacher, and I said, well, what if you did your teaching and just did your gardening on evenings and weekends? Maybe we need to make your gardening more fulfilling. And for her, she had two passions. One, she felt that she was sort of a steward to the earth, and the other one was that when she gardened, she felt that it was spiritual work for her. It was a time to almost meditate. I said, well, then why can't we do that on evenings and weekends? It doesn't have to be your work, and sometimes it shouldn't be your work. She knew she'd never make it as a landscape designer. She didn't want to be that, but she still wanted to pursue her passion.
Yeah. Or perhaps she didn't want to do the boring, mundane business side of gardening. Right. And there were so many possibilities that you as a coach could have directed her.
Right.
Getting involved with the 4-H, with children, teaching at a senior center, simple gardening. Right. So there's a way to follow your passion that doesn't necessarily lead to money in business. Right. And then there is following that passion and creating that new career.
Absolutely.
The things that someone should make sure they have in place before they go off doing this? What are the basics that somebody should have? Should they have some extra money in the bank if they're going to pursue a new career? What do you usually advise somebody before you get going?
Yeah, I'm really very careful to advise people to make sure they have what I would consider a good, strong foundation. And by that I mean whether they're going to start a new career, which may mean they have to sort of start at the bottom and work their way up again, or they're going to start their own business. If you're going to follow your purpose, and that is business related, this is going to be your income source. So start off with a good finance. Also, you need, as part of your foundation, good support, and by that I mean you need to have your family on your side. They can't be against you, because it's too hard to have to fight with your family about doing this thing. And then the other thing, of course, is to make sure that your own personal foundation, your inner self, is ready for this challenge, that you've done all the research and reading and training and things that you need, and that also you have the willpower to see it through, because what happens if there's some obstacles? Do you have the willpower to say, this is so important to me that I'm going to find a way around them?
Yeah. It's easy to look from the outside at a profession and think, oh, that's got to be easy, until you have to go work in a newsroom or write news or get behind a camera or face the daily rejection and risk that perhaps someone in your dream profession deals with. Can you test drive a passion?
Oh, absolutely. I had one of my clients, she really felt very passionate about living in Washington State. I don't know why, she just did.
She likes apples.
That's it. So I said to her, I said, well, instead of just up and selling your home and moving there without a job or anything, why don't you take the next 18 months and take every vacation that you have coming up and go there?
Great idea.
And what else she did is she found through friends of friends that she knew that there was someone that she knew that lived there. I said, go and stay with them, because living in a hotel is different than living with people. Ask people what their lifestyle is like. Travel around the area. Find out what the housing prices are and what job opportunities there are and all these different things. I said, take some time. Your passion is not going to go away. If it really is truly the thing that you really feel that you're supposed to do in life, it's not going to go away. But you don't have to just jump. You can go really slowly into it.
I like that.
Eventually she did move.
I like that, because haven't we all gone to visit a location and come back saying, you know, in the glow of the vacation,
Yes.
you know, I'm going to go back. I can't tell you the number of times that I think I'm going to, you know, run a little towel cabana somewhere and get away from it all. And deep in my heart of hearts, I know that after a couple of months of handing out towels, I'm going to be bored.
Right.
And before you know it, I'll be manufacturing towels in Belize or
Exactly.
something like that.
Exactly.
So that's a great idea. You don't always have to jump head first.
Right. And the other thing is if you hit a roadblock, it doesn't mean stop and go the opposite direction. It might mean you just need to go a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. And it's about being creative, knowing clearly what your passion and your purpose is. And when you get to a place where you don't know where to go, finding a different way of experiencing that same thing.
So sometimes it may even be someone coming to you at Passion for Business and saying, I can't find a passion. Has that happened?
Oh,
you know,
yes.
like I need to find a passion. How do you direct them then?
Well, a lot of times I first say to them things like, well, what did you love when you were young? Like you said when you were young, you thought about being a fireman or a firewoman, I guess. What kind of books are on your bookshelves? What magazines do you read all the time? What are you constantly attracted to? And seeing if there's something there that you can kind of work a little bit more into and see if this is the place to go. I'm not sure that everybody has a passion or a purpose. I think sometimes some people are just happy to sort of get through the day, to be with their family, and that's enough for them. But for those people who really feel there's more, I think you need to pursue it.
And whether that, like you said, in small little jumps or in giant leaps, is based on your experience and the support you have.
Exactly.
I could imagine many a marriage could fall apart with somebody saying, you know, at 50 I'm going to go into the city and I'm going to be a poet.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then your partner's thinking, wait a minute, we're 5 years off of retiring and going to Florida.
And we've got a mortgage and we've got the children's college education. You can't follow your passion and purpose if it's going to harm other people. It really has to be, and especially if you're in a relationship of some sort, that it has to be kind of a joint venture. I can distinctly remember feeling this need to save a huge amount of money, not exactly knowing why, and then maybe about 18 months later, things got bad at my job, and calling my husband on the way home from work and say, do you mind if I quit my job and become self-employed? He's like, okay. But we had talked about it before, and he knew that I really had a good plan, and I had saved up a lot of money, and that I was prepared. So he didn't have the same resistance if I had called him out of the blue and said, can I quit my job? So you have to think about your relationships.
Well, I have to think that there are millions of unhappy Americans in cubicles all over this country.
yes.
I mean, what else would explain the success of working girl, 9 to 5, office space, and how every one of us has cheered on a hero or heroine that stands up and says, you know what? You're a lousy boss. I quit. Goodbye. You know, they take the name, they take the plant, they take the nameplate, and they leave. And I've always, yeah, you know. And then I, you know, put down my popcorn and get back to reality and go to work.
Exactly. Well, a movie like Jerry Maguire is, you know, he does all that, and then he's really suffering. So, you know, you have to look at that. One of the things that I tell people is just because you're unhappy with your work doesn't mean that you're not fulfilling your purpose, because you have to figure out, well, why am I there? I had a client who had a very technical job, and sort of an IT job. She was very good at it, but it didn't do anything for her. She could really do it very easily. And we had long discussions about, you know, passion and purpose, and what she began to realize was her purpose of being in that office had nothing to do with what she did every day. It was bringing the teams together, helping to erase discord among the members, helping. She almost did like mini coaching with her staff. She really was there to help people to fulfill their potential, and the job was almost just like the stage for that. And when she got that, all of a sudden her job had meaning.
I see. Or perhaps you would translate something like that into being in the technology field, but perhaps getting trained in human resources or being classified as a trainer. So find something in your job that is your strength.
Right.
And do you think that an awful lot of people, though, are expecting too much from their work? Do you think that many of us as Americans are looking to our work to fulfill everything? Could that be a problem with why so many people are unhappy?
I think because we spend so many hours at work that we expect work to fulfill us. There are times when work can fulfill us. I every morning I get up, I can't wait to get in my office. Every night I leave my office feeling I've had a great day, I've done good, and I've helped people. Not everybody has that opportunity. So what happens, of course, is we're putting in so many hours. We're putting a lot of pressure on our job to fulfill us. And what we also need to look at is, well, where's the balance between our home life and our work life? Maybe the fulfillment needs to come from other things.
Maybe passion should come from your husband and family.
Yes, exactly.
And not necessarily from your work. That's where I think a lot of Americans have it wrong. If you're just joining us, Karyn Greenstreet is with me. Her company, Passion for Business. And maybe you've been longing to pursue a passion. We're talking about how to come to grips with that and how to translate it either into another career or perhaps just to a new way of living your life. Karyn, I like this idea that your passion doesn't necessarily have to be for the bottom line. What are some ways that people can pursue their passion? Charity work?
Oh, absolutely. Volunteer work. Doing things like my uncle is older, and he actually goes around and picks up elderly people and takes them to their doctor's appointment. His passion, his purpose is helping people, and he has found a way of doing that by helping one person at a time. He doesn't get paid for it. This is just what he does. For other people, it may be writing. You know, they feel that if they could write and maybe not become, you know, the next big author, but to create a small pamphlet that would educate someone, maybe teaching some classes, spending time with your family, teaching your children or your grandchildren a skill that you have that they have never seen before. It could be in your church or your synagogue or in the community. For some people, they have a passion for peace, and so they do what we would call peace work, and they do global conferences on peace and things like that. So everyone can pursue their passion. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your career or in your work, although it's nice if it can be.
Well, and it's nice if you can carve out a little piece of time to do that. Right. I think we are all in such a rush to get somewhere. I don't know where, but we're all in a rush to get somewhere, right, that it's harder and harder, right, to put together some time. I remember a friend of mine, this guy, and we all know somebody like this, he could tell you what the top 10 musical hits of 1985 were. You know, if a song's playing on the radio, he could tell you what the group was, who the lead singer is. And I marveled at this thing, and I used to feel, you know, musically inadequate around him, being the A-type personality I am. And finally one day I said to him, how the heck do you remember all of this stuff? How do you catalog it in your head? Right. And he thought for a while, and he said, well, listen, I have a job that allows for no creativity. I'm good at it, but it allows for no creativity. He said, so I pump all my creative juices into music. Right. Now, I thought, well, then make something of it, you know, right away. I'm always worrying about the bottom line. Make something of it, you know, and he didn't have to. It was enough for him. It didn't mean that he ran out and started a DJ business. He didn't want to go every Sunday and spin discs at a wedding or a bar mitzvah. No. He just loved music, and he shared it with other people.
When I was a professional photographer, I would do, you know, 50 weddings a year. I mean, it was a lot. You got burnt out really easily, but I loved it.
Oh, God, and bridezillas? Yeah. Oh, my God.
And when I stopped doing that, I thought, well, is this the end of me doing photography because I love it so much? And what happened is I gradually changed that over, and now it's like I'll go out and I'll photograph nature or flowers or something, and I'm not looking to make any money off of it. It's just purely for me, for my own happiness. And I don't have to, I could do it for half an hour and that's enough. It doesn't have to be that I have to spend the entire weekend doing it. So you carve out little bits of time and you find a way of expressing yourself. And I think a lot of it comes from we're so busy and we don't carve out this time because we don't really know what our values are. Mm-hmm. If you know that this is important to you, you'll find the time. My grandmother said actions speak louder than words, and she was right.
Well, I guess it depends on how driven you are by possible regret as well. I'm sure many people come to a point in their life and they say, if I don't do it now, I never will, and you don't want to walk around with that regret. Right. You know, last breath on the deathbed, you know, I wish I had tap danced.
Exactly. I mean, there's a saying out there in the coaching world that says don't die with your music inside of you. You've got to express who you are and what your purpose is on the earth at whatever level you can do that. It's mandatory.
Well, you know who always says, you know, people have these sayings, you know, to try to make you feel better, and if you're not feeling, if you're maybe down and out, they say, well, at least you have your health. You know who says that? Healthy people, right? The people that say pursue your dream, successful people,
right?
Okay, so some people, I think, really are frightened of that first step because you hear the success stories. Right. Let's take the restaurant business, all right? Or you're a baker. You bake the best cookies on the PTA in the neighborhood. People kill for your cookies.
Right.
So then you want to take it to the next step, which is something that you help people with, and that's creating a business. And you take it to the next step. But we only hear about Mrs. Fields and her success, you know. We only heard famous Amos and his success, but we don't hear the thousands of people that have tried a cookie business and it hasn't happened. So research, working with a coach, what are your top recommendations?
Well, there are lots of places where you can learn about running a business, and you can't follow your passion or your purpose if you feel that it is to start your own business. You can't follow that as if it were a hobby. If you want to start a business, you have to actually become skilled at being a business person as well as being the thing that the business is, like a baker, or in my case, a coach or a consultant or a writer. You have to both know your own skill, your own craft, and you have to be a business person. But there's plenty of places to learn about how to run a business: community colleges, books, websites, the Small Business Administration. You know, hire a coach or a consultant who can help you. But learn those skills and get that foundation work done as well, because a lot of times people fail not because they're not good at the skill, but they're not good at running a business, and so the business fails.
So the research is important, the coaching, the networking, all important with following this passion. Besides the person that came in for gardening, give us another example of someone that came in with a passion, and boy, they're doing just fine. Let's hear one of your successes.
Okay, I have a client who is a psychologist, and she was happy doing that. It was good work, but she really had a passion about empowering women and teenage girls. So she sort of created a secondary business. She still kept doing her psychology work, but she created a secondary business running retreats and conferences and going and speaking at schools to teenage girls, starting a website. She did all these things that were all about empowering women and girls. And it became a money-making operation for her, but plus she also still had her psychology practice. So she didn't give up one thing, she just added on to it.
So why should people follow their passion?
Well, as I said earlier, a lot of it is this feeling of being fulfilled, of using your potential, of using everything that you were put on earth for. It's also, it gives you a sense of kind of like a spiritual compass, that you're here for a reason, and that you're going to do that reason. And like you said, so that at the end of your life, you say, well, I don't have any regrets. I'm lucky. At the end of every day, I say, this was a good day and I have no regrets. That kind of a feeling, you know, if I walk out of here today and get hit by a bus, I have no regrets.
Don't you think it's important for people, especially now in this sort of space age internet world, to have the feeling that they have left something concrete behind, even if that's, healthy children, or a wonderful marriage of many years? I think people are looking for a legacy.
Yes, I think they are, absolutely. And I always encourage people, I'm like, think about what you are leaving behind. My father recently retired, and I said, not only have you affected in a positive way the company that you worked for, I said, but you have 3 very healthy, very stable, very wonderful children, and also you have wonderful grandchildren, you have a good marriage, you have all these other positive things that are happening. We tend to diminish those things and not think, well, I raised children. It's like, do you understand what that means? You know, to raise healthy children is a big deal. You know, I know people who are very active in their church, and I say, do you understand how this helps that community of people? they don't realize the impact that they're having until you sit down and really think about it.
So really, a personal inventory is where this all gets started,
Yes.
Where is my value and where do I place value?
Right.
And then you will feel successful. Her name is Karyn Greenstreet. The company is Passion for Business. Karyn, how do people get to you if they want to pursue their passion and need some help?
Right. They of course, on the internet, it's www.passionforbusiness.com, or they can reach me by phone. 215 is the area code, 295-3132.
So if they want to get passionate, they should call you? I don't know. That's a different business, I think. I'll tell you what, my passion is to talk. My passion is conversation. And if only I could be paid by the word. Is there a chance for this?
I think that you probably could create that. You just have to kind of think of some different options.
The hard thing would be pricing it by the word. Her name is Karyn Greenstreet. It's Passion for Business. So if you're thinking about pursuing a passion, you need a little coaching. Karyn's the one for that, and she will help you uncover that passion and pursue it. And I'm passionate about conversations. It's always time for a good conversation. Thanks so much.